You've seen many demos of bringing Vision AI models on the edge on one device, like DemoWare. My friend Mahesh joins me on the IoT show today to show us how it's done in production with a great project of his called VisionOnEdge. Hi everyone, this is Olivier here on the IoT show. Thanks for watching us. Today we will talk Vision on Edge, and for that I have Mahesh with me. Mahesh, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, Olivier. Thank you for inviting me to the show.
Mahesh, my friend, already came to the IoT show, and previously you were here to talk. Well, you were already here to talk about Vision AI on the edge. You did a couple demos, very nice demos with the Vision AI Dev Kit, right? If I remember correctly.
Correct, right? Same problem, but a scale solution this time.
Love
So,
it. So today you're here to introduce the VisionOnEdge that you're working with your team on. And before we jump into that, right, we need you to introduce yourself for people who didn't get the chance to see you already. So a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What are you doing at Microsoft? What is your goal in life?
hi, I'm Mahesh. I'm a program manager in Azure Stack team. I work in the solution team, and my team looks at developer experiences for Edge and build patterns where we see common problems and see developers struggling. Weeks go solve that, find it in a way that you can consume and publish it on our GitHub repo. So this is a repo where we have published a lot of solutions. And if you look at this is where you will find a lot of solutions that we developed. Today, we're going to talk about this vision solution, which allows you to build models on edge, deploy them on edge, and scale it on small devices to large devices.
Got it. So what's interesting is that we've been showing lots of demos, especially in the IoT show, about how easy it is to create a Vision AI model and deploy that at the edge and run it on one device, right? So, but in reality, it's a bit more complicated than that, especially when you want to skip from this very demo-ish version to an actual, pilot and then to production, right? And so I think VisionOnEdge actually is here to help our customers going through these stages of simple demo, pilot to actual, solution in production, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and every stage has different challenges, right? In demo stage, you want to show all the capabilities, but you don't want to spend a lot of time coding or preparing. At pilot stage, you want to run it on enterprise scale hardware. You want to bring your own data. In production, you want partners or you want somebody who can provide you an SLA, uptime, and all. So we'll talk about all these three stages today. And I will start with just our repo. So this solution can be deployed three ways. The easiest is the ARM template, or you can take the whole code and deploy with VS Code using IoT Edge plugin as well. But right now, just right click. And one prerequisite it has is your device should have IoT Edge. With Azure Stack Edge, we already do it for you. But if you're deploying on any other device, just make sure you deploy Azure IoT Edge on it. Olivia has a lot of sessions on how to do that. So watch out and you will see it in our blog also. So all you have to fill after you have a device with IoT Edge is few details, like what resource group you want to deploy it to, what is your device architecture. We support x86 and ARM64. What is your runtime? This is for acceleration. So what is your hardware? Are you using a GPU, an NVIDIA GPU, Intel VPU, and Jetson? And this is the magic of Onyx runtime that you just choose here and we will accelerate for you whatever hardware acceleration you have without you worrying about what hardware you want to run it on. Third option you make choice on is whether you want to use Microsoft Live Video Analytics, which is highly recommended for this solution because it allows you to scale to many cameras. And or you can also select OpenCV in case you don't want to use LVA. Just put your IoT hub name. This you should be familiar with if you deployed your IoT Edge. And now you're putting your IoT Edge name. And that's pretty much it. We use custom vision to train models in cloud in this sample. So we'll also need your custom vision account name. And that is it. We have a shell installer where we create all these for you if you don't have it. So if you don't want to worry about this, just use the shell installer. Once you have done that, you click this button, we deploy the solution, and in like 10 minutes or so, on your device IP address and port 8181, you land up on on a
So,
web app.
so that I'm clear. So what's going to happen is that the ARM template will deploy the resources, will attach to the IoT hub that you indicated. There's already an IoT Edge device that has been deployed and connected to the IoT hub, and it will configure that IoT Edge device to run a new set of modules that provide that UI, that interface that you just showed, right?
Perfect. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Olivier. So what it does is, as soon as you send that deployment, it deploys these IoT Edge modules to your machine. So this is your Azure Stack Edge or your own machine with running IoT Edge. And these are the containers that it deploys on that device. And then you're looking at this web app at port 8181. And this is your load balancer, which is sending these requests to the web module. So when you land here, you're actually looking at this Nginx module, web module through the Nginx module. And you will see all these containers all running on Edge. This is where acceleration happens and a lot of other things. So jumping on this, first thing you can do here is, out of box, you want to quickly get something running, show the capabilities of Microsoft, all IoT Edge, Onyx Runtime, Custom Vision, and live video analytics coming together. Just come here, click a button, and you can deploy a defect detection. That will look like this, and we are running it on with OpenVINO acceleration. This is Intel acceleration, and running it on their VPUs. So for this one, I'm using just a small device, this Intel AI Dev Kit. And you can see that this was a customer scenario where they were testing these bottles. And if a bottle has a bubble like this, it's not good. If it doesn't have a bubble, it's good. And you can count how many good or bad bottles you have done. Quickly, what you can also do here is that you can send these messages by just pressing this button to cloud. Thanks to the power of IoT Hub, you need not to, we will take care of that. And once you do that, you can see all these analytics, right? These are coming to your IoT Hub.
Okay.
Next step of that, we also put a tutorial where you can ingest all this data and see all these insights across time using time series insights. And you did a session on that. This brings that power together. And now you're seeing on your factory line, how many bottles have you seen? What has happened? So 170 events, 30 good, 20 bad, all these analytics. Now we go from large data to small data, all powered through our IoT tools. So this is straightforward. And now you can go do all these things without you worrying about writing any code. And all these scenarios are ready to deploy in a click of a button.
Right. So here it's the demos. It's the demo part of things, right? So you're at the very first stage. You want something real quick. You have your IoT Edge device. Boom. I have a demo in a matter of minutes.
Correct. So that's what, if you want to show capabilities or experience what is possible, just try all these scenarios and you will land up at a good place, right? That's the first stage where we solve that problem for for people who want to try things and see what's the possibilities are. The second stage is the pilot stage, right? And here there are two major challenges. One is it has to run on an enterprise scale device like Azure Stack Edge. And the second challenge is it has to be with your data, because the video needs to be the model needs to build on your data. So let's see how we are approaching that and how the same tool helps you solve that. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my Azure Stack Edge. This is same way like I deployed that to my small edge device. Exact same way. All I did is I pointed to the edge device name of my Azure Stack Edge. And you see that it's configured, it's up and running. And it has deployed the same containers that I show you in my architecture, the Nginx module, the predict module, the web module. And same UI that you experience there is ready for us here. But here, instead of trying scenarios, what you can do is you can go and add your cameras. So any IP-based camera, you can come in, name it mycam, put your RTSP URL, put your location where the camera is in your factory, and add. The moment you add the camera, in a click of a button, you can see the feed. So this is in a factory where they were collecting these tools and they wanted to know, did we picked up the right tool to assemble a part? And sometimes they miss things and they lose a lot of time and the whole factory stops because they missed that, the robot missed the tool. So we simulated the same condition, and now you can have that, but there's no models for you. So this is your own part, right? And nobody's building models for your part. So the next step for us is that you can go in, and in the same tool, you can capture some images from your camera, right? So you can select any camera that you have added on your device, and then you can get the feed from the camera and start capturing real images. Like right
And
here, I'm
this is
capturing this
something which is
image.
actually, that's really interesting, Mahesh, because that's something that people might not realize. Models are very sensitive to conditions. And so if you train a model in a specific like context in terms of lighting, camera angle, and so on, the model will be optimized for that camera, for this lighting, for this camera angle. And so you will need to adapt your models and re-enrich them often, or each time you have a different camera or different layouts, a different time in the day. And so you need to have this kind of way of capturing actual photos, actual images from the camera that's going to be used in production. And this is something that is not trivial. Well, you're making it super easy, actually.
Thank you, Olivia. Yeah, and this is the number one ask from our customers, that how can they add to the model that we give them or somebody gave them from real data and continue to iterate on it. And this is what we are trying to solve here by allowing you to capture few images and tag them right here. So you can come here, define new objects, or add the one that is existing, like the shell one, this one is already there. So I can just draw a circle around it and it will train. It will now you start identifying and giving new things to computers.
And
So once,
furthermore, something even more interesting is that you guys are using cognitive services, right?
correct.
And you're using the APIs of cognitive services, and the cognitive services UI. You have a full, SaaS type of website for training your models. It's easy to use, but not everyone on the planet will be able to understand everything there. Here, you're making it through the APIs of cognitive services, and an example of a UI for an operator. You're making it like super straightforward and simple to retrain a machine learning model without being a data scientist, without being a software guy at all. So that's actually super interesting, because you're making it simple for someone who's just the operator to retrain a model.
Yeah, and that's the aim, right, for us at Azure Stack and IoT, that how can vertical specific experts like these operators on ground can contribute the data and build and enhance what we are building or somebody build for them. So once you have the object, you have defined it, the next step is you quickly go in and you just deploy that. So,
Okay.
and deploying is straightforward. Again, you just go add your task name, your model name, which camera, and what object. You
Mm-hmm.
click the button, and we will take care of training the model in cloud, as you said, using custom vision, bringing the model in the best format possible, and accelerate on the hardware. Like you were making that choice, CPU, GPU, VPU. And I showed you earlier that we were running on VPUs. Now we are running on these powerful GPUs on Azure Stack Edge, which are running this at 11 milliseconds. So if you do the math, you can actually do 100 frames per second.
Oh, okay.
And that's where the scale part of this story comes in, that you just deployed this model, it is working for you at a very good speed. But now you can extend that. You can go in and say, this model is working for me, and I'm not, now I have multiple lines doing the same thing, multiple robots picking things. Why should not I deploy it to not one, but 10 cameras, right? So I will
Nice.
just deploy it to 5 cameras right here, and I hit redeploy. And that's all you need to do to scale. And now you're scaling your same solution, same models to not one camera, but 5 cameras. And all you have to do is you come here and you switch between these cameras. So
Nice.
this one or this one, this was just me, and I don't have like 5 setups. So all this comes together like this, right? And you can define area of interest as well, right? So if some part of this is causing interference, you can just say, hey, let's focus this on this area. So create a box there, and we will focus right there. One more
Love that.
thing I want to show you is that some advanced options, like I only talked about sending messages to cloud. Here, you can tell it. So remember, we were capturing the images and tagging them. That's tedious. Here, you can tell the machine that, hey, if the inference is not good enough, because in the beginning, if you have few images, it won't be good. You can
Mhm.
set it up to capture these images automatically for you, tag them for you. So next time you come in, you have tagged images and you're just saying next, next to retrain your models. You can
Nice.
set frames per second on each camera. So you can automatically let us do it as you scale your cameras to get the maximum out of the machine. Or you can change it that, hey, I just want to do one frame, but I want to process 50 cameras.
So Mahesh, let me interrupt you for a second here. Earlier on, I was seeing you adding different cameras. We are on the Azure Stack Edge hardware, which is way beefier, right? But are there limits, and what kind of performance can you expect in that case from the Azure Stack Edge, and in general, from this kind of solutions? Because we're talking hardware acceleration and so on, but that's lots of camera, lots of frames. So what is a ballpark of the kind of performance to expect here?
Yeah, and that depends on what model you are running, the size of your model, and the frames that you want per camera to process. We have done testing where we have processed 1 frames per second, and we were able to run 50 cameras. And thanks to live video analytics, where we were able to do that. So that's the kind of performance you get out of this device. But if you want to process more frames, you have to go less on number of cameras. But if you look at scenarios like people counting, if you do one in 1 second, I think it's a good enough number.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. Carry on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
thank you. The other feature you can do is that when you are running employee safety, you want to record a video also to make sure that you can go and process it later. And that's where live video analytics allows you to store. So you can set up a camera and you can say, hey, if this thing you see, whatever you trained it for, you can define a threshold and duration of the video. And we will store this video and put it on cloud for you. You can even do tracking. So if we see the same person again, we won't record these videos in cloud and save you bandwidth. Again, last thing is how these container communicate. So fast communication, we support gRPC, and you will see that all this code is open source, and that's the reason why I built it. So now container to container communication of sending frames, getting result happen on shared memory in milliseconds. And that's why you get a pilot production closed solution and a sample which you can build on. So these are all the features ready for you, just sitting there, and you can deploy and build your pilots with your data. So that's where we end the pilot
Love it.
journey for you.
Oh, okay, Mahesh. So you brought people from demo to pilot and then to something which is very close to production. One thing I wanted to ask is you showed using models that are actually whether trained or pre-provided in your solution. What if I want to bring my own model that my own data scientists or that I've invested in the past? How do you do that?
So what you can do is you can go, so you can build your own, or you can go and bring your own models. We tested all cognitive service models. It's as simple as you deploy your container, your web app through Azure Machine Learning onto your device and just provides as the endpoint. Upload your labels.txt. And if you're doing secure operation, just provides as the header you want us to use. And now instead of using your pre-built model here, or our scenario models, we're going to use your models. We have a tutorial for a YOLO model. We have tested Azure machine learning build models, cognitive services, and I will highly encourage you to try any model that you have. Till the time it's an exposed endpoint from a web app, you can bring them to VisionOnEdge.
Awesome. Easy. So what's the next step? Now they have a way to do all the solutions. What's the next step for our customers here?
Yeah, so I think the next biggest challenge remains today that how can you go to production? And for production, we have two paths. You can go to our first party special analysis cognitive services. They build this, what I showed you at first party, they will support you and deploy it in production. If you don't want to use the first party special analysis, special analytics service, you can use these ISVs. These ISVs are certified, they have used the code, and they have already taken some customers to production. So this is our path from pilot where you are convinced you got the funding, you can work with them, or all this course code is also open source. You will see on blog, your team can take it and take you to production. So three paths, and that's our journey all the way from demo, pilot to production, no code, starting and ending to scale.
Okay, Mahesh, great demo, great solution here with VisionOnEdge. You watching, if you want to learn more, go read the blog post Mahesh put together, aka.ms/IoT show/VisionOnEdge. Thanks for watching the IoT show. See you soon all. Bye.